going to talk a little bit about your Philadelphia Eagles offense. And I saw today where Jalen Hurts is not answering any more questions about his knee.
He just walked off.
Yeah. We talked about this yesterday. Kind of heard that it might be some type of a bruise. I don't know if it's a bone bruise, but it's some type of bruise on his knee. But when you watch him on tape, and I was looking at the New England game, which they opened, the Washington game, and the Jets game, especially this Commanders game, the last game, he really wasn't very interested in running the football. And what's happening to him, I said, well, if that's the case, because the tape was kind of showing me that a little bit, and I went back and looked at some analytics on it. They said 76% of his snaps he's thrown from the pocket this year. So there's something going on there. He's not interested in running as he much was, and I think that's something that bodes very well for the Cowboys. I think something about playing Jalen Hurts that in these games, the longer you can get him to hold the ball, the more trouble he has. So that's going to be – there's only one other quarterback in the league that holds the ball longer than him, and that is Russell Wilson with Denver. Those two hold the ball. When these guys go back to pass, you get Jalen Hurts, he'll hold it about 3 seconds in the pocket. And a lot of it has to do with the offensive line and how good it is. But if you make him hold it, he's a different quarterback when he has to deal with pressure. His accuracy tends to fade, and the turnovers creep into his game. 5 of his 8 interceptions that I saw was when he had to deal with pressure. And when he deals with pressure, he only completes about 64% of his passes. So a lot of teams are playing man coverage against them. So they're trying to kind of hold up on the outside and make him, running with his receivers and then making him have to make those types of throws. Where this guy will absolutely kill you is in 2 areas. He'll kill you with a deep ball, and he'll kill you with the flat screen touch passes that he makes. This guy doesn't miss any flat passes. When he throws out to a back, say a back's out of the backfield, or they throw a screen or a tight end screen, he's not going to miss. He usually does a great job of giving his receiver the ball and their ability, once he catches it, they get up the field. But he will absolutely punish you on his deep passes. They throw the ball downfield 23 times on deep balls, and they have 6 touchdowns on those plays.
Well, he's throwing to a freaking transformer.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who it is, by the way. It could
Brown or Smith.
Brown or Smith. Now, where you get with Brown is one of these guys. This is not one of these offenses that has an elaborate scheme system when it comes to routes. It's pretty basic.
Kind of Garrett-esque, right? Like, we're going to line up and go beat you.
Very, very much simple. The outs, the curls, the ends, the slants. There's not, when you think like, oh, well, hey, we're playing against the Rams, the 49ers, and there's all these route combinations. Where they get their routes combinations is on third downs when they deal with the tight end, when they put a wide receiver and a tight end at the same side, and they'll pick to get the tight end in the flat and throw him the ball. That's kind of how they'll convert. Like if it's a 2nd or 3rd and 3 or a 3rd and 2,
just scheme it open.
They scheme it open with a pick, and it's usually with one of the tight ends.
Otherwise, it's just our guy's better than your guy. And
a lot of the time, Devontae Smith is one of these guys. His best routes of the ones I saw, and I just broke them all down, the best ones he runs is the out. And, Zach, you were laughing at me the way I was describing it.
I loved it, but it was so true.
Where it's up the field, it's an out, and then it's tap, tap, catch, and it's over.
Tap, tap, catch. He's got a little Michael Gallup in him that way.
He does. But when they need a play on a 3rd down as well, a little bit longer, maybe 6-7 yards, they are going to run some type of out route and try and get him the football on a tap, tap, catch is what they're going to do.
Do you think that there's a better matchup for either of the Cowboy corners, like Gilmore and Bland versus Brown or Smith? Would you rather see like Gilmore on Brown?
I think that, to me, with the thing with Brown is that his size bothers me. And I wonder, I do not want either one of these wide receivers running with free access in the game. And I mean, free access is the press coverage. If you don't play press coverage on them and give them space, you let A.J. Brown get a head of steam, and he is going to run by you, or he's going to run a hitch. He's going to work the middle of the field. I don't know if Gilmore is I just, if you're going to put Gilmore up there, it's got to be really good with the hands, quick with the hands, bam, bam, and just make the timing of his route or make the timing of him, getting going up the field, because that's what he's one of these guys. Brown's one of these guys that builds up speed as he goes. So the longer he gets to run, the better chance he has of just kind of running by you right there. But Brown and Smith are your two primary guys when it comes to. They signed Julio Jones. They're trying to incorporate him into some stuff, but we haven't really seen that very much yet. The tight end is Dallas Goedert. They have two tight ends. They have Dallas Goedert and this Jack Stoll, and they both are terrible blockers. But where Goddard is really, really good, as I mentioned, is the screen game. Because what he'll do is he'll delay, and then he'll go out in the route, and they'll throw him a screen. They're 8 for 8 on these plays. And they do it on third down. It's another one of their third down packages where they'll fake like they're going to max protect, and then he'll just like leak out, and then they'll throw him the ball in the flat, and then it's a first down right there. So there's going to be some type of route combination. I mentioned that with tight ends and wide receivers on third down. You got to be mindful of that, and you also got to be really worried about the tight end screen. That's a big play for them as they go forward. Their running back is DeAndre Swift, and you're going to get either that sidecar look where he's next to Hurts, either to his right or his left, or the pistol where he's directly behind, and then it's the handoff. They're almost playing sideways, but you also can get him on the outside as a receiver when they go empty. He's got 28 receptions this year for the Eagles. He runs with a degree of power when you're handing him the ball. He's a tough, lower your head type of a runner, but his game is really kind of straight line. It's not really anything that you would think there's a lot of wiggle to it, but there's snaps where he just has a chance to cut back and he just plows right into the line. He's averaging almost 5 yards a carry, just more on that physicality. Does a really good job of finishing forwards. Him and Kenneth Gainwell is the other back. Gainwell doesn't have the production running the football, but he's really good at catching the ball, and he's a really good blitz pickup guy. He had a sneaky run in the game against the Patriots where he started inside, and then he bounced it to the outside, and he was able to find some space. And so those are the two primary backs. This offensive line is one of the better ones you will face, though, this year. There's some bulliness to their game. They can morph into a couple of different ways. They could pin and pull. They could play with power. They kind of one of these groups that get into you and they take you wherever you want to go. If you're one of those teams that likes to rush up the field, they'll just take you up the field. If you're trying to loop on them, they'll just grab you and take you to where you want to go. The tackles, Mailata and Lane Johnson, I think are really, really good. Lane Johnson has less power than Mailata. And the thing that I kind of remember from the past is what DeMarcus Lawrence has done a pretty good job of playing against Lane Johnson. He has an understanding of how to break him down. So that's a good matchup, I think, for the Cowboys right now. They struggle a little bit at center with Kelsey. He's a really good athlete, but he's towards the end of his career. He just doesn't play with any power anymore. So this is where last week we saw Micah Parsons with some one-on-one stuff against Shelton, the center for the Rams. I would consider rushing Osa or Parsons over the top of Jason Kelsey and seeing if he can win a one-on-one battle. These tackles don't need help. We'll see if the guards can help it, but Kelsey's a guy I think that would give up some stuff inside. So really good pin and pull center, but that might be the best way to attack Hurts in the pocket if you run it through the center and make Jason Kelsey have to play some one-on-one football.
Yeah, this will be the game where Jason Kelsey decides for sure, I'm hanging him up after this year.
Yeah. Well, it's also a good way to not have Micah get neutralized along the edge.
Right.
Do they have a chance against the tush push?
Dan Quinn seems to feel like that they do. He says they're going to bring something different to the game.
I'm looking forward to that.
It's a very, very difficult play to stop.
DP bringing the TP.
I just don't know how it's gonna happen. But
let's go.
Yeah, but the thing I think, guys, that if this quarterback is dealing with a knee and his inability to run or want to run,
bang,
that helps the Cowboys a lot.
We have to find out, Cowboys and Eagles, How are we going to score on these bird turds, Brian?
Yeah, you're not going to run the ball on them. That's
no.
just not going to happen. Not the way you're currently built up front to handle this. Everybody that's taking opportunities, the best way to beat this team, in my opinion, is throw the ball on them. And that's saying a lot because of Hassan Reddick and then Josh Sweat. Now, I feel like that those are the two that you're going to have to deal with off the edge. I don't think their secondary is particularly great. I think that if you look at attacking Bradbury, you've got a couple, like you say, you've got these couple of these corners with Darius Slay. He's given up some pretty significant plays and some significant yardage as well. He's going to play on the left side, but be your offense's right. But James Bradbury is the one that's having a lot of problems for them playing, and they're not really settled at their nickel spot. They're trying to kind of piece that together with Sidney Brown and Josh Jobe are the two guys they're trying to work at the nickel spot because Maddox and Bradley Roby have been out with injuries. Bradley Roby's dealing with a pectoral strain, and he hadn't played. He's only played 2 games. But to me, it's if you find a way, and it's going to be key because what happens is Hassan Reddick is going to line up every single time over Terrence Steele. And now you have to determine if you're going to give Terrence Steele help in the side of the field. Are you going to be able to, do you want to put a tight end over there? I would do things to think about making Reddick have to play wider in his rush. They already played pretty wide. You put a tight end or a wing over there and move him a whole nother gap or 2 outside. You make it a little bit easier that maybe with Dak's ability to get rid of the football, now that he's thrown it a lot quicker, that if you remove him a gap or a whole man to the outside, you might give Steele the opportunity to block him a little bit better. I've got some update on Tyron Smith. Today it was, I got it earlier that he wasn't going to practice. They're worried about the shoulder, the stinger. They did not want to subject him to any contact at all. So if he gets through the Saturday practice, we'll see what happens Sunday. But they were adamant that they did not want him practicing today just to make sure that the shoulder was going to be okay. So that's a matchup with Sweat. I was also told that Adoga is going to be fine. So Adoga should be available. So if Tyron Smith can't answer the bell, say he gets in there in the 3rd play of the game, it breaks down again, Adoga should be available for you. It's not going to be Awesome Richards.
It's I want Tyron Smith to play this week, but if he ends up missing a bunch of games, there's a huge silver lining to it because it's like almost $1 million per game or $1 million every 2 games that he misses that you're going to start to recoup all of this cap space.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like when he's in, they're significantly better on the offensive line. I feel like they're kind of holding it down with or without him.
Yeah. The thing with, I think with these edge rushers,
other than the first play of last week,
yeah,
that was pretty embarrassing.
Yeah, it was.
The edge rushers, but Dak took the blame on that one. By the way,
he did. Yeah,
Dak stepped up and says, "I got to get rid of the ball. I can't." It was supposed to be a quick play. Adoga got beat quick, but Dak's like, "Listen, that's on me more than it is on Adoga." The thing about it is with these rushers, I think with Reddick, he's the one that I'm the most concerned about. And like I said, I want to move him a little bit outside. I want to keep him outside. I think that to me that Josh Sweat, as much boot and waggle when that movement with Dak throwing the ball on the outside, Sweat's the one you want to try and take advantage of. If they're going to move the pocket, Sweat is so interested in flying down inside. He's the one guy that's just is not going to stay at home. He's going to try and
pursue.
He will way over pursue on plays. So anything that's going to go to the left, the offense is left, the defense is right. If it's the quarterback moving that direction, they're probably going to try and take advantage of Sweat that way. Jalen Carter's one of their better defensive tackles. Fletcher Cox is getting a little bit long in the tooth. You see Fletcher Cox, now they start to move him off the ball a little bit more. He gets turned a little bit more. Where before he was one of those guys who would anchor down inside, hard guy to move. But the guys that make things happen inside for them is Jordan Davis. He is impossible to move. Their defensive tackle. And then I mentioned Jalen Carter. He's dealing with a little bit of a back injury that he suffered in the Commanders game last week. So they think he'll be available, but if he doesn't play, that's a big out for the Cowboys right there. But between Fletcher Cox, Jordan Davis, and Jalen Carter, that is a tough group to run on inside. And it's tough to run on, too, at the linebacker because of Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean is, if you try and run the ball on the outside, he's going to chase the play. He's a shorter guy. He's about a 6-foot guy, but can really, really, really scoot. And so that's where you have to kind of make sure. Opponents have only have 11 times they've run the ball for 10 yards or more against this defense. It just doesn't happen. Dallas is going to have to throw the ball to win this football game, and I do believe they could do it against these nickels, and I believe they could do it against James Bradbury, the corner opposite of Darius Slay. Even though Slay's had his bad days, Bradbury's had more bad days. So that's how I think the Cowboys will have to beat the Philadelphia Eagles this weekend.